Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another life-changing episode of the Single Summit IG Life series. You got that right, Inheriting God Life. My name remains James, and with me I have...
Sin.
So I don't know if you missed the last episode, but for me it was... Wow. We talked on the topic, am I ready to leave home? Funny enough, that topic was strictly, but meant for older... Will I call them older adults? Because I don't want someone that is in JS3, SS1 that are you ready? You're not ready to leave home. Stay at home. But then for our older people, we discussed about when is the right time to leave home. And then we had Chips and Bolu. I'm saying a lot. How was it for you?
It was an awesome experience, but I would like to hear from our viewers. What was your take? What was your thought on that particular topic? We'd like to sit in the comment section, drop it. Let us know that we're not talking to ourselves here, that we have people that are listening to us. Please drop it and we'll read that. So for me, it was because, okay, for example, now this week, I don't know, for the way the Lord just orchestrated it, so I just saw myself taking decisions because of this topic, so this week this week has been tough. I was going through a lot. Do you get? Maybe there was no food in the house, let me put it that way.
Wow.
And salary was just delayed for some weird reason, and I'm hungry. I said, my sister's house is in K2, and I said, let me go to my sister's house. There's food there because my sister is a chef. There's always food. God. Let me go and eat. But because of this topic and the knowledge we've already gained, I said, no, Tosin, you hold yourself. Just stay in the house. Stay. The Lord will provide some way, somehow. So the episode, that particular topic has been it's a practical topic. Let me put it that way. You have to take deliberate steps to, come out from that zone of, being dependent.
I know, right? And then I want to just refer us that we released a playlist on YouTube in the course of the week. In case you've not watched it, you should check it out. Am I ready to leave? Leaving home, ready or not? I think that's the title. Yes. You should watch it because the gist in that one. I was just looking at Desmond Desmond, what's
which kind of brother be this one?
When she asked, is this how you are going to head our home? I had to ask him, is that you want to head the home?
Guy,
no,
bro,
no.
like I've fiancéed you. Yeah, bro, bro.
She changed status. As much as that seemed ridiculous watching it, but to some extent, some of us make those decisions. Softly, you won't know. And when if you watch the end when he was making those comments, he even has a reference to the Bible that obey your parents.
Guy,
no. That's where you draw the line. That's where you know what you're doing. But before we say so much of what we enjoyed in the last episode, we are still looking at what you enjoyed in the last episode. But today we have one of our pastors with us in the house, as we usually do. So make some noise for Pastor Laide.
Woo! Pastor Laide is in the house.
Welcome, sir. It's good to have you on set again.
It's a privilege to be back.
Yes, please greet the audience.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's always nice to be here.
It's good to have you here.
Sir.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir. So I'm sure you followed our whole rant about am I ready to leave home and all of that.
I did, and it was really, really an interesting one, including the playlist also. I mean, that was something.
It was very spot on. So, and as much as it seems like a topic off there, it's a reality for a lot of us young people. Yeah. Like some of us are stuck in some points of our lives because we have not made the right decisions at all. But I wanted to just delve into the questions. So one of the very first questions I want to ask that how would define leaving home or gaining freedom? Is it supposed to be like just when you're physically leaving home, or is there most times when we hear leaving home, it's just physical I want to just leave my parents' house. But then is there more to it?
Okay, I think what we'll try to do is see things from perspective of scriptures.
Yes, sir.
And I think the most shocking thing is this, that there is no place that says you must leave home. There is no law that says you must leave home, actually.
Like in the Bible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And sometimes we are caught in the context of cultural, societal, religious mindsets that foist something on us. Now, I'm still going to come back to the other side of the question, but scripturally, the passage you always quote, therefore, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother. They didn't say leave their house or leave home. So basically, there is nothing that says you must. Because if we overstretch it, we will stretch it in some boundaries that will later come to injure us.
Wow.
Now, then we must, even though we have examples in scriptures where the Lord commands to leave home, on what basis and for what? So by the time we start clarifying that, then we now know the actual purpose why a man or a woman or a young person is required to leave and at what point they can leave. Now, going back to that, you see that I think the first scenario we have in scriptures is the story of Abraham.
Yeah.
And classically for Abraham, the Lord was starting with him to leave home because God had something peculiar for him.
Yeah.
There was something peculiar for him. And so the instruction was leave. The generation of his fathers had lived some sort, and they had some form of knowledge of God, even though they were still given to idolatry. We saw that mixture, even with the issue of Laban.
Yes.
Yeah, that they had knowledge of God, yet they were given to idols. So the knowledge of God was not totally obliterated from that generation, but they were still given into idolatry.
Yeah.
Now, God wanted to separate a generation from that was whole and pure from every impurity.
Wow.
So that instruction came to leave his father, leave the land of his nativity and all, and depart totally. And that system of instruction continued. Now we saw a diametric opposite in the case of Isaac, where Abraham gave a firm instruction: don't even allow him to leave for a wife. When he was giving a child to the servant, don't even allow him to go back to pick a wife. The servant was asking, what if this lady does not allow him to go? If the parents do not accede to the reason, he said, don't allow him to go back there to go and pick a wife. He must stay within the bounds of this place. And Isaac was not a small child at that point. He was about 40.
Yes. Wow.
Do you understand it? Yet, the authority was still given to the chief servant over Abraham's son. So what I'm saying is, it's not a static rule that everybody must leave home. But to leave father and mother is a commandment for all generation. So sometimes I feel that we mistake maturity, responsibility for independence.
Wow.
Because that independence, sometimes we drive it to an extreme where a person becomes not subject to authority. He becomes very adventurous, becomes very resourceful, but the regard for authority and for submission is now totally lost.
Wow.
And sometimes that thing, God raises it also in parenting, so that your parent is not just your biological parent, but also has spiritual oversight. So where we overemphasize living home, we sometimes do damage to oversight that good and original parenting under the Lord should provide for offsprings. So really, there is scripturally, in fact, in some societies, we see that families live extended. We see 4 or 5 generations live together. And they are there. That should not ordinarily undermine responsibility and ownership of your life and living for God and serving God. All things being equal. All things being equal. But many a time, you don't find that so. And so, God can sometimes, for the sake of failed parenting, ask somebody to leave. In the case of Jacob rather. Jacob left for a time to correct some anomalies about his life, and then God returned him back home. So, and at other times, God can now tell you to go if there is need for something different. Probably the parenting is not dysfunctional, it's fine, you've learned everything you're supposed to learn, but God feels that there is something different for you, and I am leading you to something totally outside of the scope of what is obtainable within the confines of your space. I'm now leading you to somewhere different. That's another scenario. But those are at least the two major scenarios where God deliberately leads one out to correct anomalies and probably return, or to some a totally new ground according to his sovereign will and choice. And those are legitimate points spiritually and in every sense why a person can undertake a journey and of departing from home, in quote.
So just to push it a little further. So
Okay.
what we are saying now is that there is it's not necessarily you don't necessarily have to leave home, but then the Lord, there's always a provision of the Lord per season for you as a young individual. So
Yes.
I feel like we were saying that it is the leading of the Spirit that tells you how to
Thank you so very
respond
much.
to
So
it.
a person must get it right
Yeah.
with the leading of the Spirit.
Wow.
So I'm not
So
jumping
there's
over
no
and saying, "I want to
societal
leave home."
construct, because we can swerve to either extremes, and which will be very, very dangerous.
Wow. I can
Very
just
dangerous.
imagine, just finish your energy life. I have to leave him. I have to leave him.
Like-
Just- and then the Lord will have you still stay with your parents. because
Yes.
There's so much. Wow.
Ah,
This is
I think it
insightful.
still leads
Thank you
us
so
to
much.
our next question.
Okay.
From a believer's standpoint, about gaining independence from their guardian or parents, when are the motives right or wrong? I don't know whether you can give us examples to really, because you talked about when a child, a young adult wants to leave, but
Like,
he
okay.
does this, maybe he breaks laws of the spiritual authority from his parents. Like when
Now,
are the motives
I
right or
think
wrong?
I have a problem with the issue of independence.
Hmm.
I have a problem with that, because really, whilst independence somehow showcases, I prefer responsibility and maturity.
Okay.
Wow.
I prefer responsibility, because somewhere, that independence is I feel it's a societal construct that wants somebody that just rules his own life,
Wow.
independent of any guidance or regulation or influence,
Wow.
which is actually hazardous to even our parents. Till now, they are still under authority. So you see that somewhere. At no time, I remember, I think it's a clip that someone saw. So the child was asking the mom that at what age can I go out and not bother what time to come back inside? Then the dad was answering the child that even at his own age, he
has
doesn't.
the time.
So you see a generation that doesn't want to be accountable. Many people want to rush out of the house because accountability is not something they want to do. They just want to be able to take, okay, I go to the fridge, I pick whatever I do. And so when those people get married or they get to be leaders, they abuse they don't know what it means to be subject under authority.
Wow.
They don't know what it means to have been under. They don't know what it means to have had your will cancelled. They don't know what it means to have your choice. Say no.
No.
They don't know what it means, because they've been final authority over their life. So the issue is this. I don't think, according to the ordinance of the Spirit, the Lord doesn't want us to be independent, live an independent life. Because our life is a life of mutual submission. Even though nobody's lording it over anybody, but it should be one of mutual submission, wherein you recognize authorities over your life, whether biological or most importantly, spiritual. Now, at what point does it become
Right or wrong?
right
Like, how do
or
we
wrong?
test that
Now,
water?
definitely, of course, you talk about the issue of motive. Then you talked about the issue of accountability. Now, the first issue is this. When the Lord, Bible says, children are the heritage of the Lord, the fruit of the womb is his reward. So children become accountable to their parents first and foremost, because until a child comes of age, the Lord doesn't hold them accountable. We saw that in the story of the children of Israel, that while they were coming out of Egypt, everyone that sinned, everyone from the age of 20 downward was not held accountable, as it were, for their sins, because it's as it were, they are not of age yet. They can't even go to war yet. So there is a level at which your parents have say over their life, especially for the male. That's according to context of scriptures. Then for the female until they are married.
Get
That
married.
even if they vow a vow unto the Lord and their parents is not aware and they become aware, the parents still have rights to cancel that vow. Because, as it were, they
They're
are
not
accountable for them. But if they erred and they did not say anything, then it is until that time that they are bound to that vow. So, to the Lord, the oversight of parents is something very, very strong until the child comes of age. And we saw that also in the story of Moses. That when he came of age, he chose rather to be called, chose not to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. So we saw that God does not take the issue of accountability for joke. So for our younger ones, as long as you are under your parents, the Lord that doesn't mean that when you sin, it's not your sin. No. That's another extreme that you are driving it. But what I'm saying is that even though there is a punishment for that, but the Lord also does not hold the parents guiltless for that action.
Wow.
The Lord does not hold the parents. Now, where it becomes very, very wrong to seek independence, what are you seeking independence for? Or that freedom?
Why are you pushing for it?
What are you seeking to establish? We saw somebody also that was pushing to go outside from an atmosphere, and it was actually to foist Cain. To foist something that was his own will outside of the plan of God. So the quest for independence sometimes is the prosperity of our lusts.
Wow.
Yes.
Many times is the prosperity of our own lusts. Now, that even sometimes you just feel that this atmosphere is choking. My parents, I want to breathe. The breathing is to allow sin to express in many cases.
An expression of
It's
your
just
soul,
like
your lust.
just let this lust inside of me find expression.
expression.
Guy, look at my friends. Their parents do not hold them like this, and like this. But you don't know that they are securing your life. They are securing your life. I remember one of the stories they used to tell us those times. The story of Dinah, the son of Jacob, who went out to see the children of the land. I was reading that story recently, and it just brought back memories. The Lord had commanded Jacob to go back. He had seen Esau, but he wasn't going back to the place where he ought to be. Then he found a place, Salem, which is basically Jerusalem. Then he stayed there. But that was not God's allocation. Then he found false peace. And because he found false peace, the children got mingled with wrong brethren. So it was failed parenting that opened the child. Even though the daughter still made the choice to visit the daughters of land, but just led to
Being in the wrong.
So we can't discuss this without talking about parenting. That's what I'm trying to say. That parenting also has a role in this. That somewhere, many of us, the agitation that is stirred is because somewhere parenting failed. Let's be sincere. Parenting failed somewhere in teaching values, in putting the boundaries of God and showing the children why they are to stay within those bounds. For example, lastly, before I rest this case, for example, Isaac. I keep wondering, what did Abraham teach Isaac that made him to follow, and then to the point of sacrifice, bind his hand? Do you understand? At that age, Abraham was about almost 120, and Isaac was content. You know that this guy was taught in scripture. When they went to get a wife for him, Rebecca, the Bible says he was meditating in the wilderness. He went out to meditate. So there was something there was a manner that he was content within the confines of that life, and he didn't seek adventure outside. So we can't do it without talking about the parenting side. We have to talk about the parenting side. Then, if we have done that work very well, there will be little adventure. The soul of the children will desire little adventure outside.
So just to push us a little bit further. So we have come to a generation, like for most of the young people I see around, we have people who are young people who are giving to the Lord, like who have maybe had encounters with the Lord, have heard teachings, have come to grow up spiritually, right? To a great extent that you can trust them. Maybe through fellowship in school and all of that, you've come to some place of maturity, even as a young person, and then you find yourself in a place where you are led by the Lord to make a decision, and then your parents are bringing up another will I call it another verdict or another decision. So how do you balance the place between honoring your parents and then following the leading of the Spirit? Because it's a major one for us.
Yeah.
I think it refers us back to the clip we watched, the playlet. The honoring, the leading of the Lord will actually say that you abstain from premarital sex until after marriage, as it should be. But then the parents are saying you need to check that your wife is good before you get married. So you know that the standard of the Lord says no, but then there is honoring your parents. And for that kind of a guy that has lived his whole life in devotion to his parents, so how do we draw those kind of lines? Because it's a reality for us young people.
The truth is, the foundation of God stands sure. We have in the seal, let those that name the name of Christ depart from iniquity. There's no way, we can't second guess anything. Now, whilst we talked about some things in context of the larger picture, so that we don't sway to an extreme, but narrowing down to these particular points now, I don't expect you to follow First Psalm. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly. So first and foremost, if your parents are ungodly, you can't walk in their counsel. He didn't, when said blessed is the man that walketh, he didn't say whether parents or it's a counsel. It's an ungodly counsel. Whether it's coming from parents, whether it can even come from pastors. Your parents can even be pastors. That's why it's not whether your parents are spiritual or not. It is, are they godly? For people who have parents who are godly, I tell them, when they raise an objection, think twice. That's for parents who are godly. But where the counsel is ungodly, we can't think it twice. Now, we have to be firm about our faith. Sometimes the persecution will start from home. About what we believe, we have to be firm about it. Firm without dishonoring God and dishonoring them.
Wow.
That's why for some of our parents, we have heard stories that when they chose to stand for their faith, it was their parents and their siblings that started persecuting them. That started persecuting. Now, persecuting them is saying that they want Satan will, because they are not sensitive to God, Satan can easily land upon them, and they are useful vessels for Satan to vent his anger and pressure upon your life. Now, what we must do is that we must stand for our faith without disregard. We must not fail in honoring them. But when it comes to the subject of our faith, mommy, daddy, concerning this matter, I beg to disagree with you. Now, it is how to do it, the wisdom about going about it. That's what we need to be more elaborate about. But in our hearts, we must have it that it's not something that I am bargaining. If the worst come to the worst, I am ready to face it. But the wisdom of how to present it so that I am not cantankerous, I am not offensive, I am not dishonorable. That is where we have to be. We have to be sensitive to spirit, and sometimes we have to pray, like we said in last episode, to pray and wait. But the resolve in our heart, we must know that it is something that I cannot bargain with at all. So, I think there's a point I still want to. Can you repeat the question again?
Like, where you draw the line between honoring your parents and obeying the leading of the Spirit?
The place of honoring and obeying are somehow taken for synonyms, but really, they are two different things. Whereas in honoring, I can obey.
Yeah.
In honoring, I can obey. But sometimes in obeying, I can dishonor.
Wow. Wow. Pastor, please explain.
In honoring, I can obey. But in obeying, I can dishonor. Now, this is it. If I had the story, I mean, no, it's this even practical. One of my people, the mom is a I don't even want to use the word believer because now I'm even doubting now. Because the mom wanted her to do something, connive with her to collect money from the husband. And they wanted her, she told her to lie that she's been kidnapped.
I love.
She's been kidnapped.
Wow.
And this was this. And she was saying that if she doesn't do it, she wants to spoil her marriage. Now, I was
Flabbergasted.
because somewhere, even the light of moral righteousness
Will not even make
would
you
not
such a
make someone.
decision.
I remember this the story my mom used to tell us about the mom that was pampering the child. I think every mother told the child, then pamper the child, then at the end of the day got stole, got to court, and then beat the ear of the mom. I don't know. You have trained me well. Now, these are things that I feel that parents should not cross. And now, you want them to obey you, and it will later lead to dishonor of the name of the family and your name when these things, because you have raised something that is, you have raised Satan in the house because you have unbridled lust yourself. So I'm just trying to point out that in honoring, rather, really is things that are glorious, things that are honorable should be brought to the house. It's not just to obey you to satisfy all your lusts. So I must be, as a child, I must also now be able to judge that this what you are asking me in the long run is actually dishonorable, not only to you, but also to the Lord. Also to the Lord. Sometimes you need patience to make parents see, because sometimes they're also under pressure because their peers are also enjoying some kind. You see, parents now want their children to do yahoo yahoo.
Exactly.
No, sincerely. Maybe not within our circle, but we relate with people who come to church every day, and probably youngsters. We had the story of a young guy in the house that the siblings are putting pressure on him. The elder brother is doing the stuff, and they want him also so that to be able to sponsor the parents, and the parents don't find anything as long as it is the escape card from poverty. So you see places where these things just. What if he's caught tomorrow? I had a friend like that when we were growing up. Because thank God for my mother. Oh Jesus, she beats the sense into Now when we began company with this guy, mommy, that mom, God anointed mommy. Oh Jesus, God anointed.
Shout out to mommy.
She oh Jesus, the kind of beating. They will just beat you. Some devils will run away from you. Say I don't want to company with you any longer. Thank God for that thing. Just some few months later, they caught the guy Shay.
Wow.
It was armed robbery.
Wow.
They shot him.
Wow.
Died. Now, till tomorrow, the shame to the family is still there. So what I'm saying is that it is not every act of obedience that is honor, that brings honor, really.
Wow.
And you must be able to say much more, even now in the faith. These are even natural things, moral things that we are talking about.
Yeah.
Now, we are not talking even at the more higher spiritual level, things that are dishonorable to God. You must be able to calmly. Sometimes you need to entreat them.
Yeah.
Mommy, I know you want us to be safe from her, but this is not the way. There is a more righteous way. God can sort it out.
Wow.
So that thing most of the times ends up correcting even their own fool. God can use them, a dumb ass to correct the madness of a prophet. So God can use a child to correct the error in the heart of the parent if they are willing.
Wow. I've been so blessed.
Insightful.
Oh, God.
Just to push it a little bit further once again. So as a young believer, right?
Okay.
Is there anything you would say is there an unhealthy way for us to be attached to our parents? Like,
Definitely.
Is there where
you spoke about when a believer, like a young believer, like it's not a rule that you should leave the house, but for somebody is there that is unhealthily attached to his guardian or his parent. What are there consequences?
Okay, unhealthy attachments can begin from sometimes responsible parents, use the word responsible, sometimes breed irresponsible children because they undertake everything for them. And they don't allow them to take responsibilities enough. So it's much more than just being responsible. You have to be spiritual. Spiritual in raising a child to know what the bounds of your involvement and the limits of your exposure. Otherwise, in our being careful and loving them, you would kill them. You'll kill them. So a person can love the fact that my daddy just takes care of everything. So somewhere, a child grows up to have everything fixed for him. Now, the dad is just being a responsible father. The light in the house, the water. So he's used to everything, but he doesn't know how and doesn't know the price it takes to get it done.
Wow.
Now, so parenting is not just about providing it. Let them know what it costs, the implication of, what it means to have it worked out. Sometimes you find it probably abroad. You see parents employ their children in their company and get you don't collect, you get paid allowance
based on
what you do. So there's a culture of responsibility. Just that I'm not just benefiting from what you have attained, but you are showing me how. So a person can get unduly attached because of security, for example.
Okay.
Unduly attached under parents because security. It can be financial, it can be emotional, it can be spiritual even. For where a person just uses, daddy, because of the spiritual climate daddy has created, I just want to be here. Because if I know I have to venture out, to start praying. No. Now, whilst that feels a form of security, it can make you at ease.
Wow.
At ease in your soul. And when God sees that you are getting too comfortable, the Lord will start troubling your waters.
He will shake.
He will start troubling your waters. So a person can get unduly, even in a good climb. Now, it will surprise you that many of the people that do well, very, very well, come up from places that are broken homes, that those are the things that spurred them to start laboring to get things right because they don't want to get it. Now, some of the people that have it all worked out some of them are laid back. Not all, but in some cases, you now find people who get it right, who have been able to replicate it in their children, and they don't just relax because they got it right. Now that's how God wants to set a transgenerational pattern of a correct walk with God. So, one of the things that a person, youth must be wary of is sometimes, let me just take financially, for example.
Okay.
Dad provides for everything and everything. How many people know how the business of the father works? Because that's part of the things I'm saying, that it's not everybody that God leads out. Sometimes God will raise you to take charge of that business.
Okay.
But you see, some children are irresponsible. Not just because you want to rely on the business, because it was a blessing that God brought to the family for the sustenance of generations. Now, That is a wisdom of God, not because that is your inheritance, as it were, but for sustenance of not only the physical, but for his counsel. But some people are, I want my thing. And in venturing away from that thing, some people have not even learned the culture, the art of managing finance.
And they want their own.
And hard work, the discipline and diligence of working. Some people have not learned it. He said, when you go to, the stress is too much, then you come back to that daddy. Daddy, I need this money. If I'm that, you won't get it. You will never get it. You will never get it. So somewhere, a person can get unhealthy habits. Unhealthy habits. False security. False sense of safety. Some is because they don't reprove them. The parents, you don't reprove children like that. So they get comfort. You are not used to anybody talking to you anyhow. So the first exposure you get to a place of work, he said, mental health, my mental health. That thing annoys me. So you see children who cannot bear pressure or stress.
Wow.
Stress of life. Mental health, I need to take a week away from work. I'll resign. Because it's very light and faint at the children.
Gosh.
Just a little stress.
No.
God.
I feel sad for the person already.
It's just sad.
It's sad.
It's sad.
Okay.
So there are those spots that every believer that is walking, the Spirit of God will start prompting you. You're getting too comfortable here. That in itself can be a reason why they say, oh yeah. For me personally, I think that they arranged Jacob out of the house. Me personally, I feel, because you know that really Isaac didn't bless him. That blessing he stole from Esau was not a blessing. You saw it now. The blessing after that. In fact, all of the proclamation of the blessing was earthly blessing. Dew of heaven, corn. It was in chapter 28. God died. Now, when after that, he now said, God will go. When you go, God will go with you. You give you the blessing of Abraham. So the blessing gone came afterwards. So you can't get. So I felt that God just roused everything so that to send him out of the house, so that to correct him and beat him into the proper shape. By the time chapter 32, God came and said, yes, I will now give you the real blessing. So real. Sometimes when you are getting too comfortable, and I feel that God will help us.
Amen.
God will help us. God will help us. God will help us. Because maybe I should not say this one here.
Just to even push you a little bit further, there are times when you know that if you continue in your parents' house like this, you can't.
I was at that point.
Because there's so much. Let's say you come to a place where there's so much comfort. There's so much. Not like comfort is bad, but then you just, like you say, you just know in your spirit that you ought to. You can't continue like this.
You get spoiled.
How do you move out? Like, and those kind of parents most times are very clingy. They don't want to let you out of, like,
very correct.
They are taking you to school and bringing you back, even in the university. Yeah, there's so much closure around you, but then maybe because of what you've heard, you just know that you need to be able to make decisions for yourself. How do you come out from that kind of scenario? Because I can't even. I think you have experience.
Okay. For me, it was, I didn't grow up in that kind of house, but later towards after my school, I got very close to my dad. He had not been around, but he later got born again and then came back, and we just really became very close because of his faith. And then it was at that time that the Lord was asking me, you have to leave. You have to leave home. And it came at a time that, okay, I had resolved in my heart that I was going to go. Then he actually now passed. And being the last born of my mom, all my siblings were already doing their thing. So I was like the person that the responsibility fell upon to take care of mom. And it was really a thing. But I remember one of the things the Lord said to me. He said, you have to make a choice now. Whether family or me.
Wow.
Whether my plan for your life or you stick with family allegiances. And even though it seemed a tough choice, because I was going to be leaving my mom at the very point of our vulnerability, I knew that I had burnt some bridges behind me. And I was ready to face the consequences. And also stand up to my siblings. Because sometimes, whilst it is, I knew that my mom wouldn't have an issue with it. Because somewhere she had a measure of walk with God. And so she can sense that she had seen that all my life I lived it for God. So she will, but my siblings, they felt that no. What are you doing with that? Come on, go and stay with you. Do you understand? Just like Gideon. Just like Gideon, you understand? So I had made a choice that, okay, I was going to go this way. So I remember it was during the burial of my dad that I was telling Mom, sorry, I'm not coming back home. And my colleague was like, you are heartless. you are very, very heartless. I said, sorry, there's no better time to say it because I won't come back again from Kebi to come and tell you that. No. I'm already gone and I'm already gone. So, but what I'm pointing it out is this, that where parents are clingy, number one thing, we need to pray. To begin to sever that bond gradually. Now, that bond was created by communication. You have to willfully withhold information that is not necessary.
Wow.
The first accusation, you are becoming secretive. I remember, you are becoming this. That's the first accusation of my sister. You are not talking to me again. You are not talking to me again. That we used to share everything. Like, sorry, you are growing up, you are married, and now also I need to focus. I am becoming a man. I didn't say anything. I'm becoming a man, and I need to start to exercise some measure of judgment. Now, as that began to take place, before the major, some of us actually, they've not seen a system of life with us. They've not seen a system of life with us.
Sure.
They've not seen a pattern of faith with us. They've not seen a dedication with us. So the first thing that you are here, the first decision you are ever going to make for yourself is to live out. So somewhere they still question our judgment. But in little things, you make a decision. You just stood up by yourself. You went to go and wash the car at home. Now, you are obeying faith, but they are seeing a sense of, nobody instructed you. You carried your clothes, carried daddy's clothes by yourself. You went to go and wash. Nobody instructed you. You went to go and buy form for a graduate program, or you went to go and make research concerning a training for yourself. Nobody instructed you. They saw that by yourself, that you are making choices, even though you can seek counsel. Do you understand? But you know that you were the author of that idea. Nobody initiated it. They are beginning to see a pattern of responsibility. And they say that those choices are sound. When you want to make the big one, they will have little fear. Yeah. Even though, as a parent, if it's not aligned with their preferences, they can still raise anything. But a little talk, a little pacifying there, they see reason. But where there is nothing, every single thing in your life, they are the one that have to come on. Come on, sit down. You that even before they wash your boxers, it's them that have to remind you to wash your boxers. Because this room is stinking. Then you say you want to go and live by yourself. Wow. So that alone in itself has spoiled a lot of things. So from the pattern of life, you are already showing that there's I'm responsible. I'm responsible. I am mature to make decisions from my life. Not that I am disrespectful, that I don't see when contrary opinion to my will comes, I am able to wait and judge the weightier one. And then, if it's your point that is weightier, we go with it. But if it's not, I still am able to stick with my choice. Those system of decision making makes them to respect you. Makes them to respect you. And even if they disagree, like Gamaliel, let us watch this thing and see.
And then they can
prove it over time.
Wow.
And see that, guy, we can always trust this guy's
You
decision.
don't ripe.
Yes.
That's necessary. We have to go on a break very quickly. We've said so much. So we're going on a short break. When we come back, we'll have more questions for Pastor. Stay connected.
Welcome back, guys. I hope this session has been impactful, as in the angle that Pastor Laide has come from. I was not even expecting it at
Never
all.
experience. Never experience.
Please let us know that you are following us. Please drop it in our comment section. So we're going straight to practical questions.
Yeah.
Okay, there's this particular question that me self, I won't ask. Is it okay to be financially dependent on my parents while unemployed? Okay, for example, now, I don't have a job. I have my parents. They have money. Is it okay to ask them that I need things? For example, sanitary pad, roll-on,
Recharge
body
card.
cream, recharge data. Like, I don't have money. Who am I supposed to ask? And they are here, they are in my front. I can't
And
ask them what's wrong. They have money. What's wrong with asking them? So, Pastor.
No.
Know that.
I feel that. Not I feel. I know that
Okay, sir.
at no point should you be financially dependent on your parent or any other person. God wants every one of us to be dependent on Him. And God wants parents to teach their children to look up to Him.
Wow.
The design is to live by faith.
Wow.
Wow.
Even when your parents have the resources.
Wow.
That is the training that helps you. When you have earning income, you are still living by faith, looking up to God. You don't take it because you are not money-led, because there is resources.
Wow.
Because I earned 900,000 naira and I this week, I just take it intuitively without asking God whether God will have a plan for that money and have a different way to meet that need. So it's because somewhere from a child, the training is not there to live dependent on God, even when you see resources. So now you're a graduate, you are unemployed. The default thing, which is gentilic, actually, is to fall to available resources. But that is not the discipline of faith.
Wow.
Every one of us should be raised trusting God.
Trusting God.
Trusting. Bible says, woe to the arm of flesh. Woe to it that trust in man. So there's a way we must be raised, even if your parents can meet it. Pray to God.
Pray to God.
Because God may not move their heart. God may not want to supply that need that way. And it will surprise you that somebody that you don't know that may... I love this parable of the prodigal, we call it prodigal son. But you remember the first child that didn't depart. After he was angry, he said that I've been serving you and you did not give me a kid to celebrate with my friends. Do you understand? It shows that even though I'm serving, he said all I have is yours. But that you is not dependent on, the word is, didn't take it as a right,
Entitlement.
as an entitlement.
Unlike the first one that's
Even though there's also, he didn't also ask. That ask in the sense that ask, pray about his needs. But so he got into the zone of bitterness when he saw that the father graciously spent upon the younger one. Do you understand? But the issue is this, that we must learn a place where we are not just dependent. I mean, we are not just looking at the resources of our parents and then calculating in our head or feeling that this is where
by the
my
time, by
resources
the end
are.
of the month.
No.
Something
God
else.
wants us to live a life of faith dependent on Him.
Wow.
Then we'll be able to have directions concerning issues concerning life, even our daily living.
Because I know some young people, like myself, some of us have elder siblings, so you just calculate it that, okay, money
Mommy
will come
give me
from
this,
uncle, something,
Egbon will
my
give
sister will give me this one, and you calculate it. And
By the end of the month.
That is flesh. That is flesh. That is flesh.
Wow.
That is flesh. That is flesh. That is flesh.
Wow.
That is flesh. No matter, even when they are the most loving, caring persons, you must discipline your heart to look up to God
Look up to God.
and not to them.
That's beautiful. I think that's it.
You
That's
must-
a heart state.
Discipline your heart. Sometimes the Holy Ghost will even appoint you. Don't call them.
No ask. Yes.
Because you know when you call them to greet them, the
You
next
know
thing
what?
is
Yes.
checking service.
Yes.
That's
Those are
beautiful.
some of the training that the Lord gave us little here and there. You must exercise. I remember the firstborn of our family when they told us, why do you want to be labor this person? No. God will take care of it. How he wants to do it, that's his own business. Now, if God moves their heart independently, there's no problem. You know that you are not the originator of that thing. It is the Lord that moved it independently. But where you are the one, you are already canvassing here, politicizing here, doing
two and two together.
No. That is flesh. That is flesh.
Let me just move us a little bit further. So we have people who are married who stream IG live. So let's not be as if we didn't think about you guys in today's episode. It's not only the singles. So as a married man or woman, yes, you are married and you have your own house. Where do you draw the line between seeking counsel from your parents and then allowing them influence your home? Because I think it's they have gone before you. They have some wise
Of
counsels
course.
that should be good for you as you're building your own home. But then there's a part where the counsel is no more counseling. It's more like instruction, commandment. I don't know. How do we draw the line? How do we draw the line?
Okay, I remember I changed it from my mom one day.
Wow.
Amen. Sorry.
Wow.
Okay. Like I said earlier on, if your parents are godly and they give counsel, even if it doesn't jive with what you have in mind, I beg you in the name of the Lord, pause, think twice before you reject it. In the name of, if they are godly, they have a godly conversation, watch it very well. Think twice before you reject such counsel. Now, however, where you know that parents know children know their parents. They know them. You know the motive. You know the secrets behind. Even when this counsel is looking
it's coming
spiritual,
from.
you know where the fountain of because you have observed their conversation.
Yeah.
You know. One of the things I made policy, number one, in my home. I don't think I'm more than 12 years married now. I've never discussed anything about my family with my siblings, my parents, my siblings. I've never for one day. For one day in my marriage, I've not raised any issue. I kill it.
It's not necessary.
I've never discussed anything about my family with them. I inform them when it's critical issue. When somebody's in the hospital or they're going to surgery, I inform them. There's a difference between consultation. There's a difference between submission, consultation, information. There are differences. consultation. Some people even with spiritual authority, they just consult. They don't submit. So when it comes to parents, I draw the line. This is my family. I remember a particular time, my mom was alluding to the fact that my wife didn't. I mean, it's because of her I wasn't calling them. Between me and you, when we were alone together, do we call ourselves?
When did that this one start?
No. Before you Photoshop her into the picture, because there's a way we have lived so. No. After standing up, that was the first and the last time.
Wow.
That was the first. So when you have a system of life that you have been using to make your decisions, they will know their boundaries. It's knowing their boundaries. Yes. Knowing their boundaries. That on this matter, they don't have any say. Even to come to my house, sincerely, in the early stage of marriage, I know that if they had come around, their unbelief would have destroyed my faith. Because I took the decision, the journey of faith. If you know what they kind of this. I dare not say some of the things. Some of the youths around you will even revolt, because but I knew I was persuaded that the Lord was leading me on. I'd submitted to some of my brethren, and they also had the persuasion. So I was taking a step of faith. But I knew that if they come around, their unbelief will leak all my faith and put me in unbelief. So one of the things I did was that for the first few years of marriage, nobody came around. I didn't say it's out of place, but every single time they wanted to come around, I just, Lord, I shut the door. One reason or the other, something would just come up. No, for the first almost 8 years, nobody came around. Nobody came around. Until when things started stabilizing, I said, now, if you come around, at least, you understand? Yes. So, there's a place where you must know. You, as the Lord of the house. I mean, Lord of the house now. The family that the Lord is raising. You know boundaries that may be injurious to your family. And you are the spiritual guard of your family. You know that if this influence comes, it will be dangerous. For example, your mom loves African magic. That's what they used to watch in your home. Then your children are small, and you now want to bring mommy with African magic with DSC inside your house. You know that's commercial. So it's either you have an altercation there, and your mom is very, very domineering. That it's whatever she wants. So you know that it's either you start having arguments in the house. It's something that you just, before it comes, Lord, this decision, I shut it. You just find out that something will just come up, because but I know that I am this guy. I am the one that shut it. I'm the one that shut it. So that some things, and when it comes to decision, then some people are very, very immature. Like I said, some people are very, very immature. If you don't want control, manipulation, because there's control, there's manipulation. Reduce the amount of things you disclose, information. The more information they know about you, they know your work, they know your closing time, your opening time, so they can calculate. They know why you are not coming to visit them. So how are you spending your time? Come and tell me. Then, okay, I go to my pastor. So it's your pastor that is taking my place here. No, you are the one that gave them the reason.
Oh God.
Wow. You've given them too much information. They are too aware of every single detail of your life. You are not a man. I'm sorry to say. You're a child.
Wow.
You're a child. You're not a lady. You're a child. You're a child. You're a child. You have not taken a responsibility of steering your life. You need to grow up.
Wow.
You need to grow up. You need to grow up. You need to be discreet about your life. You need to be discreet. Now, like I said, if God blesses you and you have godly parents, they know the boundaries. They know the boundaries.
Yeah.
Sometimes they suggest to you. They say, pray about it.
True.
The godly parents, they know that they are persuaded in their spirits. But they say, this is what I feel. But go pray about it, whatever you feel. They can just, and if you dissent, okay. They go and they continue praying. Because they know that. No, that's the beauty of godly parents. That they are not assertive. They are not assertive. They are just
they trust the Lord
behind, guiding gently.
Yes, sir.
And they do it more in the place of prayer.
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
More in the place of prayer. So, but now you are married. You are still afraid of your parents. Some people have morbid fear of their parents. Even I don't like my parents' trouble. Jaloshe.
30-year-old
My
man,
chest.
you are
You're a child. You're a child.
Wow.
You're a child.
Wow.
You're a child.
So, Pastor,
You need to have good
still leaning to this question. Will the Lord give instructions that the parents may not approve of? What is the wisdom to ensure that you do not strain your relationship with both parties? That is the Lord and your parents.
Okay, I think this is very clear. At the point in time, the same disciples, I think it's actually before, the disciples, Paul said we should be subject to higher powers. No, there's no power that be of God. But then the past said that they should not preach in the name of Jesus again. And what Peter and John said is this: Judge, is it right to obey man rather than to obey God? So there comes a point in our lives where we have to say, look, and but more importantly is the wisdom about it. The wisdom about it. Sometimes I've heard parents tell their children, "You're not going to church again." You're not going to church again. Then the child went at a soft time. If it is club, I'm going to. Or Timothy Yakultist. Timi gboro si Timothy tabugo property. She inyelefe. I am obeying God. Me fun yin wahala. All you are rubbling. Which one do you really want? Sometimes they'll go and think back. They'll go and think back. Say, me so go ma lo church. Ma ko se pupo ju ni. It's wisdom that look. This thing is what is keeping my life. The obeying God is what's making me beautiful, what's making me pleasant to you. So please, I beg you in the name of the Lord, don't hinder me from obeying God.
So that means young believers, we have to learn the wisdom to entreat our parents.
Yes. We need the wisdom to entreat them and make them see. Now, some who are temples of idols. Temples of idols. Some people are unbelieving, and they have got confidence with Satan to just be a stumbling block. You need to be firm.
Yes,
In that case, you need to be firm without dishonoring them. That's why I said earlier, they may end up persecuting you. They may end up persecuting you. But those are things that you must gladly bear, joyfully bear for the name of the Lord Jesus. If after you have done everything, you know what a scripture says, if somebody has something against you, go and plead. If he doesn't, take two people, go and if he doesn't, take the church. He said, if that person that still doesn't regard, count that person as an unbeliever. So if you have done everything in your power to entreat them concerning what you are persuaded in your spirit that this is the part. This is what you have gone to pray again. You've checked it again. This is it. And yet, that is false. Sometimes in the place of prayer, you can just see a friend of your father probably go and talk to him. Then you go and you visit the friend. Say, you know his religion. Daddy of religion. No, daddy. No. Yinka, you can't see by name. Yinka, no. Mashi somebody. No. Jacob, because of that honor for his friend, he just.
Very true.
So a lot of wisdom. But when you have done everything, and because sometimes after you have done everything, Satan just locks you up by the neck and says, no, this one is not going.
Yes.
Now you must be willing to face the persecution. Because it's a blessing that those that suffer are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Yeah.
Just to even take us a little bit further, we have people who have unbelievers as parents, right? And you can't get the best of counsels from them. But what you do when you have unbelieving parents that want to, will I say, force their lifestyle on you? Because there's some, and they'll say things like, it's not bad now. Like, you just, like, for example, you want to have, let's say, maybe even your wedding, right? And then the kind of parents you have is those parents that, I don't know if you watch this about those kind of, they are out for parties and all of that. And maybe you by yourself, like, in your spirit, you just don't want to do something mild and all of that. And then your mother is like, no, you have to tell this king, tell that prince, they just wanted to do a whole lot of activity on your behalf. Like, and how do you help yourself in that kind of, because that lifestyle is not you, it's them. Mm-hmm. But then if you keep, I feel like if you keep yielding to it.
Okay. For that, because of the example you made, the issue of wedding is actually dicey because an offering for parents, especially for the wife's parents. Yeah. Especially within our Nigerian context, wedding is not your thing.
Yeah, guests in your wedding.
They are the one doing wedding for you. They are the one. So the journey begins just when you take your husband and you then that's when your own decisions really, really start counting. Now, my own is concerning I'll come back to the larger picture, but for this specific wedding context, as long as I'm not the one sponsoring it,
it's not my name.
And you are not asking me to come and do. I'll just appear, look, and carry my. And even the ones that I'm appearing in, if it is much more than the ceremony, I don't have anything. If the purpose is not clear and it's not injurious to life, for example, the wedding. There's nothing wrong with the wedding itself, the ceremony. Mm-hmm. Now, how people blow it, there can be many things wrong about it. Yes. Now, I may not have control over that. But I come to the wedding, the most important thing in the wedding, kokoti beyawo. Do you understand? The husband carry the wife and they go. Do you understand? Once that is done, every other thing is frivolities. Every other thing is frivolities. So once that is done, I find one of my friends, some people were still trying to locate the wedding venue when he was already at the honeymoon venue. Within 30 minutes, he and the wife just went back with escape. Sharp one. Went to water. And started.
They'll continue the party.
So we were still trying to carry anybody. Go to the reception venue. Now, the parents can continue all their party and their funfair. So people will see after party. That's your business. But me and my wife, we don't go. Now, for considering unbelievers who are now, more generic, in the more generic sense, where they want to foist their lifestyle on you, the truth is this. Many of those parents themselves withstood their parents foisting their lifestyle on them. Many of them. Growing up, you would have heard them say stories of how they resisted their own parents. No, that's the truth. How that their parents wanted to. So
it's your turn.
So sometimes you just have to wait, listen to everything they want to say, and make them understand that. Sorry. As much. I remember my dad. Sorry. I finished school. He said it was early, but he had always wanted to be a lawyer. He tried. He was a nurse. Then when he got into public service, he wanted to be a lawyer and everything. He did advanced diploma. So when I finished school, he said, wow, I'm still young. And he saw, because when I came from school, I was very, very serious earlier, but when I came from school, I had books, spiritual books, Christian literature. So he was really impressed. When my elder brother came from school, he had deck, TV, and everything. But me, so he said, wow, that I should enroll for a second degree, law. I should start reading law. And me, I already knew that the thing that God was working, go, Joe. Do you understand it? I smiled. I knew that somewhere he had that unfulfilled dream that he wanted to
pass down.
He wanted to pass down first. I just said, I knew I couldn't tell him no directly to his face. But I said, we will look at it. But really, you know that the part of everybody's life plays out differently. But that let's just keep looking at it. That I will consider it. I will consider it. I will consider it. But inside of me, I will just pray. I just like, nah. At the end of the day, 5-6 months down the line, everything fell apart and everything just fell apart. So sometimes we don't really need to take the bulls by the, especially sometimes they are understanding. So our first resort is not contention.
Yes, sir.
Our first resort is not contention. Most of the time, you just look at them. I remember the first day I shook my dad hand and I looked into his eyes. I felt like a man. Wow. I shook his hand. You know, it was not out of disrespect, but I just wanted to look. Let's converse, man to man. Wow. Let's reason together.
Wow.
Let's reason together. Bring it. So somewhere, it's good to have intelligent discussion with your parents.
Yes, very true.
It's good to have intelligent discussions with your parents. Intelligent discussion. Some people, the only thing you want to do is always is it's good to have intelligent discussion. Now, part of the things that happen when you are having intelligent discussion, you can differ in opinion. But you settle, for example, you have different football teams. No, you can argue concerning it, and you don't necessarily have to settle for the same thing. You can still settle that Arsenal is better than Chelsea or Chelsea. Now, all of that gives you a system of engagement that you can differ in opinion, but yet your relationship is not strained. Do you understand it? But some people, anything that is differs like this is fight. As long as you are not seeing my point, no, you can disagree without being disagreeable.
Yes, sir.
You can disagree without being disagreeable. That on this matter, we are not seeing the same, but we are seeing bodies. Do you understand it? And that's how, when you have invested in such relationships that, you don't love okra. I love ewedu. If there's a system of respecting individuality,
Sure.
that we are not agreeing on matters. Because having been raised, I have come to find out my own taste, my own judgment. You've raised me for 20 years, 25 years. I still cannot determine whether I love egusi or not. No. It's a problem. Now, there's a point where you have to force me to eat it.
Yes.
Do you understand it? And it's good. But I've now grown. I've now grown 25 years. I can say that, okay, from all my life experience, this thing, I don't really like it. Not that I can't eat it, but I can't that you love it doesn't mean that I have the same judgment as you on this matter. And we are still cool.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we are still cool. So but you see, youngsters are afraid to have, which is, it's not healthy. Doesn't make the relationship healthy.
Doesn't make it healthy.
Doesn't make the relationship healthy. So,
I've been so blessed by today's conversations, right? The questions we asked, the responses that we got just was wowing and mind-blowing. So, Pastor, I want us to maybe give let's call it a closing review, like an overview that you want to tell to, for emphasis sake, young adults. I'm not talking to SS1, SS2, SS3. In fact, year 1, year 2, year 3, don't say. Maybe you are close to final year that you can begin to listen.
Go and be subject to your parents.
Very key.
Go and be subject to your parents.
But is there something you want to say to us as young adults who are eligible for marriage, or young adults who just got married, and how to manage this whole relationship with family and living home?
For me, grow up. When I mean grow up into maturity. And one of the signs of maturity is that you have built a system of right judgment, right decision making, right judgment that people around you can trust. That people around you can trust. Laban said of Jacob, I have learned from experience how that God blessed me because of you. That it is a learning from experience. Now, when that happens, then you can now begin to put your foot to the ground concerning the things that the Lord is laying upon, or it will be an aberration if concerning every single tiny detail you are still dependent on people. Now, like I said, there's a difference between maturity and submission. I can be responsible, mature to make my decision, yet I still submit to other people. Do you understand it? Now, not because they are controlling me, but because I want to be more safe. It's just my own safety valve that I'm putting around myself, which everybody who is mature learns to do. But the issue is this, the place is this. You have learned a system of responsible decision making. For example, some people are careless. I'm sorry to say. They are grown up age-wise, but they are still careless. Careless in the sense that little judgments concerning decision, even travel. You see lapses. You see a person. I remember when Dad wants to travel, for example. One of the things they do, owning a car, check the tires, check the engine, check correct functionality. You see, young stars wanting to travel now, there is no sense of caution to even examine the vehicle that they want to do. So then you are now alarmed that your parent or guardian is being overtly involved in your life. Because if they leave you, you'll be a disaster to yourself and to them.
Wow.
You'll be a disaster. So responsibility also constrains them out of the natural to now exercise something that they should not be at that age. Some people is irresponsibility with their health. Because if they know that sometimes at 6 p.m. should TGM. No. And you know that to eat.
Is it nice food or food?
No, 6 p.m. No, in the name of working professional, at the end of the day, all you eat is gala and coke.
Wow.
Why wouldn't they be looking for wife for you?
Yeah,
No.
actually.
Why wouldn't they be looking for wife for you? But when in the morning, you're saying, do you understand it? They know that, do you understand it?
Wow.
So there is a system of responsibility that you show. That when you begin to put your feet on the ground, nobody will say, no, you are settled. You are settled. We need to grow up.
Wow.
This generation particularly needs to grow up. We need to grow up. We need to grow up.
Thank you so much, Pastor. I've been so blessed. By now, we should know that Single Summit is not far anymore.
Actually.
So start planning for Single Summit. Be ready for Single Summit. If you need to take a leave, plan for it. It's 2 months away. It's September here. You should be ready for Single Summit because Single Summit is ready for you. Don't miss out on what the Lord has for us. But until then, enjoy the season of the Spirit and remain blessed.
Pastor. I am Laide for coming. Thank you so very much.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.